and I'll speak personally for myself. When I started this business about a year and a half ago, I was so focused on the PR front because whether you realize it or not, people are noticing that you are, working on building that brand. So you are, whether it is getting on podcast engagements, whether it is writing thought leadership articles on Medium, which I'm also a big fan of doing, is just, writing about your entrepreneurial journey. So just increasing your digital footprint. So a lot of people think that the industry has to be very, like, I say, quote unquote, Instagram worthy to be in the PR space, but that's not true.
Welcome to the Business Ownership Podcast, brought to you by Awareness Strategies, helping you navigate the waters between entrepreneurship and ownership. Hey there, peeps. This is Michelle Nedlick, and I'm super glad that you're here with us today because I have my most amazing guest, Sneha. Sneha, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Yeah, thank you so much, Michelle. It's such an honor to be here with you.
So give everybody the highlight of who you are and what you do for business.
Yeah, my name is Sneha, and I am the founder of Geeks and Experts. We are a fractional PR talent platform. We work with startups, scale-ups, across different industries, from pet tech to fintech, to manage their PR and comm strategy.
Very cool. So how did you get into PR as your thing?
Oh, it's an interesting story. It started out, working across different industries in the marketing and PR space. And this was going from nonprofits to food tech unicorns in India, a fashion startup in Spain. And then when I eventually moved to the United States, I was in New York, and I decided that I wanted to be a founder myself, and found that in that middle spot where, you're starting out and you need some help with PR, but you don't have budgets to go to like a big agency and pay $20,000 a month, and nor can you actually hire somebody full-time, you could leverage PR, on a fractional basis. So kind of think of it as the slow fashion and sustainable version of the gig economy. On one side, you have, the logo designers who you can get for $50 and they'll give you a logo over a weekend. We're the slow fashion version of that, where you plug in a PR expert for 3 months, 6 months, depending on what your budget is, and they take charge of your PR strategy.
Nice. I love it. So did you say fintech unicorns?
Yeah, I mean, we've worked with
What is a fintech unicorn?
well, a unicorn essentially that is, got that status of a 1 billion valuation. So that was kind of my dipping my toes into tech space back in India. So I'm from Mumbai, India, and I've worked across different industries, like I mentioned. So when I got in, a stint with that startup was when I realized that this space is so exciting. I mean, there's so much going on in the tech space, and I think as a role, I was just so energized by, how can you be scrappy? How do you do things in that early 0 to 1 stage? And I think that's where, all these signs were leading me towards getting to these C to Series A, B, C, growth stage companies where there's so much going on. Your needs change almost on a monthly or quarterly basis. And that's how, the journey towards Geeks and Experts actually started maybe 10 years ago, and I didn't realize it.
Oh, that's fun. That is awesome. So for those who don't know, kind of what is the difference between PR and, say, branding or social media? Let's start with that and we'll build the
Yes,
conversation.
absolutely. I love that. And I learned this through another, PR specialist that I've worked with in the past, Gloria. And she sums it up in such a nice way. Marketing is, when you go on a date and you sell yourself, you talk about all your passions and how cool you are, how amazing you are. PR is when somebody else who knows you tells your date, oh, this person is amazing. She does this, she does that. So that's just a very easy way to remember. So thanks, shout out to Gloria for giving that tip. But that's essentially how you should think about it. And PR, for a lot of people, especially early stage founders, they think of it as you need to have a very big budget. You need to have a team of, 5-10 people working on this brand building. But actually, it starts out very early on with your personal brand, telling your story, being authentic, sharing your, literally how you started your business, why you started it. So in a nutshell, it's just storytelling at every stage of your company and entrepreneurial journey.
So what would you say is the advantage to doing PR as opposed to saying other means of things? And talk to me about kind of the businesses that don't think they have anything interesting going on.
Oh, I love that. That is such an interesting question, because today, a lot of what you're doing is, drowning in the noise. If you don't advocate for it yourself, or if you're not kind of showcasing your credibility, building that trust with customers, you're kind of missing out on a lot of validation that you can get early on. And I'll speak personally for myself. When I started this business about a year and a half ago, I was so focused on the PR front because whether you realize it or not, people are noticing that you are, working on building that brand. So you are, whether it is getting on podcast engagements, whether it is writing thought leadership articles on Medium, which I'm also a big fan of doing, is just, writing about your entrepreneurial journey. So just increasing your digital footprint. So a lot of people think that the industry has to be very, like, I say, quote unquote, Instagram worthy to be in the PR space, but that's not true. Think of it as cybersecurity, health, compliance companies. These companies put a lot of effort on PR as well, because there are so many niche trade publications that maybe, other entrepreneurs or you and I maybe have not focused so much on, but they have a very specific audience that they look at. And this could be Cyberscoop, this could be FCC. These are such specific publications that tailor to those audiences, which we don't read about. I don't read about cybersecurity every day, but the decision makers from those industries are following that news. So when people think of PR, they think of, being on the front cover of Forbes or Business Insider or something like that. But it's so much more nuanced than that. And I think at every stage, what you're doing PR for matters as well. For somebody, it could be they've raised a Series A funding round and now they want to, get some PR basis on that, or they are leading up to a fundraising round because they want to attract some investors. They want to, increase their thought leadership and credibility in the domain that they're in. And that could be so specific to what their business solution is. And the third one could just be maybe they've been around for so long, but now they've launched a new feature for their product. So at every point, you are kind of amping up what your strategy is, what your goals are, what success looks like. So that's the way you should be thinking about PR, is constantly iterating that.
So maybe Facebook actually did you a favor when they started shutting down all the industries that could promote on there, and people have the ability to go back to finding their audience. Are people still reading, newspapers and things like that? And how does that affect you?
Yeah, so we're very our consumers are mostly all the tech companies. So it's kind of focused on tech, but there are a lot of brands that we work with that are in CPG, lifestyle. So I would say it really depends on who your audience and how you need to reach them. For some, it could be purely digital PR. For some, it could be, managing their events, managing speaking engagements for them. So I would say definitely PR is not, I mean, when you think of PR, you need to be familiar with the earned and the paid media. And I think the core focus should always be on earned media, because anybody can pay, thousands of dollars and get those features. But if you are actually leveraging the right channels, then earned media can actually give you that mileage. So I would say, people are definitely reading those. High quality backlinks from, good websites is a game changer for your SEO. So when it comes to specifically digital PR, I would say that is definitely a winning strategy even today. When it comes to a lot of the other ones, of course, we are seeing, the advent of influencer partnerships, other kinds of marketing coming into play. So I wouldn't say that PR is not important there. It just depends on what is the equation of, PR versus paid campaigns that you would be running.
Nice. So when it comes to kind of putting out the articles, I know a lot of, especially in the States, it was kind of super trendy and super important actually to have as seen on, Harvard Review, as kind of those kind of publications. Is that still important? Does it influence kind of somebody's view on it, or is it going to be just important to get into other kind of publications?
Yeah, I think there is definitely importance there, because you are setting yourself up as the expert. I mean, the competition has increased as well, right? So when you're talking about getting fundraising, especially in this environment, I think a lot of investors are also keeping eyes peeled for who's actually, building those game-changing products. So I think when you get that label or badge, you are getting that stamp of approval that, your company does solve this problem. And it changes at every stage, what your strategy is. And I'll give an interesting example here, if I can, in a quick way. So a company that we were working with reduces churn for other companies. So their whole idea is to build a product that will reduce churn for subscription-based platforms. And their PR strategy evolves every almost quarter, because the story you're telling changes the way you're thinking, the way your company is solving problems. So at one point, when we're seeing so many layoffs happening, we're seeing companies kind of downsizing, reallocating budgets, their story was about saving costs for the company. The next time when they were actually, looking at investors, or they were looking at attracting finance, publications, their story completely shifted, saying that we are the ones who help these companies reduce churn. So we are the experts in managing our own churn as well, and we know how to allocate our costs. So at every point, your story is different, and it just shows that you are relevant. You're actually staying in tune with the trends, and that what it takes to get from point A to point B, or to solve a problem. So in a nutshell, I would say yes. As much as you can get those validation of as seen in this review or in this journal. It'll be a game changer for your brand.
So what does it look like when somebody kind of hires you guys, brings you on? How do you interact? How do you know what you're working on? And do they have to have the answers of this is what we want to do?
That is a great question, because very often the clients do not have that answer for like, this is what I want to do. Like I said, sometimes it's about just, educating or just informing them about how this works. And I'm a strong advocate for founders actually doing a bit of the PR on their own when they're starting out. So if you're an entrepreneur in any space, there are so many tools you actually have at your disposal when you're starting out. I mean, one is Help a Reporter Out, which is Harrow, just reaching out to journalists directly to get into publications. The other one is just being active on Twitter, LinkedIn, connecting with these journalists. So once you've got a little taste of how that PR for yourself, I call it DIY PR, like whatever you can in your capacity to do that. That is when you can work with a specialist from our platform. So think of it as, you're just leveraging that network and now wanting to amp it up. So the way it works is you come to us and say, hey, this is the kind of scope of work or the budget I have in mind. What all can I get in this space? And we would, connect you to the best in-house for those different domains. So like I mentioned, we've worked in pet tech, we've worked in fintech, we've worked in, across different industries. So we would match you with the best specialist in that domain, given your budget, because there are, specialists who have started out on this 10 years ago, 20 years ago. So they're very seasoned. Some of them who have maybe worked with an agency and now are starting out their own independent PR practice. So depending on, what kind of time commitment you're looking for, we would connect you. And essentially the idea is to, start out on a partnership for say 3 months, see how that works. Because like I mentioned, PR is such a different ball game. It's not about, hey, I just want to do this for a week and see what happens. That's not how it works. You need to have those finessed media relations. You need to keep iterating your pitch. So your story that you're telling to the journalist needs to be relevant, because if something, for example, in the maritime trade, I'm just give this example because it's so relevant right now. If you were to talk about the maritime trade right now, the only thing everyone's talking about is the Baltimore, bridge and that collapse. So you have to be sure about how that's relevant to what your business solves. So that's where our specialists come in. So, those are basically some of the ways we work. And I would love to add that our core focus is value alignment. When we are working with these clients, we want to make sure that there's a strong value alignment, because that's the reason most projects, when you're seeking outsourced help or fractional talent, it falls through, because you're not aligned on what success looks like. You're not aligned on, how long or when do you want to see results? How do you want to see results? So that is something that we heavily focus on. And that's pretty much our motto.
Nice. I love it. Well, and for companies like that, I think it's so important that they have somebody like you that they're working with, because when something like the Baltimore incident happens, you want to make sure that you're not putting out information that can be taken the wrong way. Like It was fine a week ago. In fact, it was great a week ago. And now it looks like it's a slap in the face to somebody. It's like, oh, we got to pull that. We got to pull that fast.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
It's about staying vigilant and up to date, on all those fronts. So it's just literally iterating.
I love it. So in a moment, I'm going to ask you for an example of a Cinderella story of one of your clients. But before we do that, we're going to take a quick break.
Are you running a business over 7 figures but still struggling with technology headaches? Pay attention. You do not want to miss this offer. This podcast episode is brought to you by Awareness Strategies, who is offering a custom-built digital adoption roadmap for anyone running a business over 7 figures who's wanting to grow their business in the next 5 years. And it's not just a roadmap. They offer full implementation as well if that scares the out of you. Check out awarenessstrategies.com/roadmap for more details today. The link's in the show's notes. Don't regret not doing this. Do it now. That's awarenessstrategies.com/roadmap.
So I am super excited. Give us an example of a Cinderella story of one of your clients.
Yeah, I'd love to share this. So one is of a growth stage agency, actually. So they're worked in the industry for a lot of years. They're based in Minnesota, and they have a great pool of clients, but they've never actually done PR for themselves. They've never, showcased their amazing work. And so we got in our specialists to work with them and increase thought leadership in the space. And they were actually featured in a Super Bowl article that came out. There was so much buzz around how the founders of that agency have leveraged different brands that they've worked with, the insights that they've had on generally on marketing, commercials, advertising. So when this big article came up about, the Super Bowl commercials, their thought pieces were in that, which was such a big win for us because they were just so excited to see that their years of work have actually now been out there in the audience. The second one I'd love to share is more pertaining to actually a growth stage company as well that used to work with a large agency. So that's an interesting part where we come in because this is a company that had an agency on board and did not actually find a lot of value because it just was so hard to get a buy-in from the decision makers of the PR agency. So they were, they would have these weekly calls, have maybe like 6 or 8 people from the agency on the call, and everyone's going in circles with no direction of what exactly the PR strategy is going forward, or getting those insights or key metrics met. And they reached out to us saying, we need somebody who's more hands-on. And we bring in an expert, work with them, and they're already seeing so much more movement and agility in their projects because, like I mentioned, the client's needs change so fast because one day one story is relevant, the other day something else is relevant. So for this particular client, they're in the autism space, and they heavily wanted to focus on building awareness around Autism Awareness Month, writing stories for that. And even their founder, has won many awards. He wants to get more speaking engagements, but the agency just wasn't able to deliver as much or as fast as our specialists could. So, and I say this with, keeping in mind that there are agencies out there that can work, just depends on what your goals are. So we do work with boutique agencies and independent PR specialists, but the best part is just to find the one that's a fit for you and to meet the results that you want.
But that's a great point, especially when things are changing a lot in the industry. Like I can well imagine somebody like a lawyer or a tax accountant, especially right now, is like everything's changing every week. And it's like, oh, and now we have this.
Exactly.
I mean, they're going to have to write it because they're the only one that understands it. You can finesse it and, maybe improve their English or their writing skills or their, make it more readable. But to get that information out, it depends on them. That is awesome. Mm-hmm. Well, I know our listeners are going to want more from you. How did they start that journey with you?
Yes, absolutely. I would love to connect with, you on LinkedIn, reach out to me there. I'm very active. I also write a lot on Medium, actually. So if you, are looking for just a taste of how we work with clients to get them featured in top tier outlets, or how to yourself also, if you want, start on this PR journey, there are so many free tools that you can check out there. So go check out my writing on Medium. Happy to share that there, and reach out to us on our website, geeksandexperts.com. We have, like I mentioned, specialists across industries. So whenever you think you're ready to amp up the PR game, just reach out to us and we'll set you up.
Nice. I love it. We'll, of course, have all of Sneha's links in the show notes. So go ahead and click on those links, open up in a new browser because we're not done yet. Did want to, Medium. That's a fun one because if people don't know about that, just give us kind of a little bit more about that platform and what it does.
Oh yeah, Medium is this amazing writing platform. I started writing on Medium just during COVID out of the passion of writing. And then I realized that this is such a great tool to actually, write about my entrepreneurial journey. So I write about a lot over there. If you actually reach there and read my stories, you'll see a lot of behind the scenes as well about, what it was like to start a startup and all the lessons I learned. And I call them lessons, not losses, because that's what the journey is about. So yeah, it's a great place. If you have a knack for writing, I would highly recommend that you start out, writing just bite-sized articles there on your entrepreneurial journey or anything. Maybe you have something that you're passionate about and you just want to test the waters. Medium is a great place to find that audience for your business or for your personal projects as well. So yeah, do check it out.
I love it. So I get to ask you, at what point in life did you know you were special kind of crazy enough to think that you could become an entrepreneur?
I guess that is something that I'm still trying to figure out, but it's a question, we entrepreneurs, of course, every day is different, right? You wake up one day saying you're so high on this and this is the best thing that you decided to do. But I think it started out for me, just seeing my own family. I mean, my dad started his own business. My sisters, both of them have their own businesses. My mom is a teacher. She's an entrepreneur. She teaches and she conducts these classes in a school in Bombay. So just seeing everybody, chasing after their goals, their dreams, that is what literally, I guess, just pinned it for me from the early days. But I think it took this interesting journey of putting the pieces of the puzzle together until I did this during COVID. The idea sprung, and I said, this is the best time to do it. Let's try it out, and that's when it all started.
Oh, well, we're so glad you did. That's awesome.
Thank you, thank you.
You've been absolutely awesome. Any last words for our peeps?
No last words other than keep putting yourself out there in your personal brand, your PRs, keep telling your story. We need more stories told. And I say this especially to a lot of founders like myself who are maybe not as seen in the limelight or in the media. So women entrepreneurs, say your story. Your stories need to be told. So put it out there.
I love it. They've become an inspiration to others just by existing and doing what you do every day. You're awesome.
Oh, thank you. That's awesome. I love that.
Well, peeps, this is Michelle Nedelec. Thank you for joining us today. Be sure to subscribe to the show and share it with your friends. We love helping entrepreneurs grow.
Are you running a business over 7 figures but still struggling with technology headaches? Pay attention, you do not want to miss this offer. This podcast episode is brought to you by Awareness Strategies, who is offering a custom-built digital adoption roadmap for anyone running a business over 7 figures who's wanting to grow their business in the next 5 years. And it's not just a roadmap, they offer full implementation as well if that scares the out of you. Check out awarenessstrategies.com/roadmap for more details today. The link's in the show's notes. Don't regret not doing this. Do it now. That's awarenessstrategies.com/roadmap.